Hey guys, Bud Pilch, Green Country Meats. Today I'm going to do a video on my carnivore bone broth that I make. It's the best bone broth that I've had. I'm going to give you the recipe and show you how I make it. So here we go. First thing, this is the finished product here. These are 32-ounce jars. I got 8 of them out of this batch, and the stuff in the Tupperware is the tallow. That's the fat that separates once you cool the bone broth. I'll show you when that happens. You use the tallow for cooking. It adds great flavor to whatever you're putting in the pan. So first we have, let's go over the ingredients. So I use 6 pounds of grass-fed soup bones. I put those in the pot, and then I add a half a cup of apple cider vinegar. The acidity from the vinegar will really help break down the nutrients in the bones and extract them. I'll put that in first, and then I'll add the water, 360 ounces of water. And then I'll add in all of the seasonings. It's just 3 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of uncracked pepper, a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You can take that or leave that. I like it. I like spicy things. And I put a lid full of cloves in there. I think the cloves really add a really nice flavor to it. And what I mean by a lid full of cloves, that's what it is. Just take the lid off of your little jar there and pour those right in. I think it's important when you're doing this. I raise grass-fed, grass-finished beef that never have any GMOs, never have antibiotics put in them, and I like to use those soup bones. I think it's the best product I can use. When I'm with all of my seasonings, Himalayan salt, everything else is organic. I don't really care I'm sure there's top-end kinds of organic, but that's just what I had. I like the Bragg's and the Himalayan salt, and then with the cayenne pepper, I think I just got this stuff. I don't know, maybe Sprouts or Walmart, I can't remember. So you get it all in, and that's what it looks like once you get it in. The pot I use is a canning pot. I can get 5 or 6 of those jars. If I'm doing canning, I can get them in that pot. So that's a pretty big pot on the stove. You notice it's not real dark. So you get it. A lot of the darkening comes from the cooking, and if you want more of a smoky flavor, you can put the bones in the oven for about 20 minutes at 300 degrees and render them down a little bit, and it'll give it a little bit of a char flavor. I don't mess with it. So then once you get it in the pot and you're cooking it, just keep checking your temperature. You want to keep it between 200 and 205 degrees. And you're going to have some evaporation, so I always put the lid on. I don't secure it, I just put it over the top to help keep a lot of the moisture from evaporating out. The lid on the pot will help as it condenses on top, it'll drop it back in. You'll still have some loss. So I put in 360 ounces of water, and I had 8 of these 32-ounce containers, so obviously there's evaporation there. But if you just get you a little thermostat, like a meat probe, and just check your water, check your flame, and try to get it where it's right about 200, 205, right in that area, and that's where you want to be. Once you've cooked it for up to 48 hours, 36, 48 hours, You just, and the way that you tell is you look at the bones. If the bones look to be rendered completely out, you go ahead and pull it. Sometimes I just go 48 to make sure that I got everything. So then once it's cooked, you want to get another pot and a little strainer and just start pouring it. I get like a little, I got a little glass pitcher, and I'll just scoop it out of that pot and pour it through the strainer into another pot so I can remove all of the, like the peppercorns and the meat that is broke off. This is all of the meat and bones that came off of those soup bones. I extract those with tongs before I start pouring. And I'll wind up getting some still in the strainer. But that's basically the end of it. After you get it all separated, put it in the refrigerator and let it cool overnight. And in the morning, this is what you'll be looking at. All of that fat renders to the top. That's your tallow. And so what you want to do is you take a knife. Oh, dadgummit, get back here. Take a knife and run it around the edge of that thing. Obviously, it's not going to cooperate. Run it around the rim so you can break it free, and then just take it out and put it into a little container, and you can use that when you're cooking. As that bone broth chills, it will, the collagen in it will get it thick, almost like a gelatin-like substance. That's when you know you've got a good bone broth. That's when your mixture's right. You know, you just got to play with it. And every bone, you know, like some of the bones you get are a lot of meat. Some of them have a lot of the marrow. You want to have a good amount of bone in order to extract all that collagen. You know, the meat will kind of help darken it and flavor it, but what you're really looking for is the nutrients and the minerals out of the bone. You know, this carnivore bone broth is something that I consume it first thing. That's the very first thing that I have. I'll get a cup, warm it up, and you know, about 80 seconds in the microwave, and I'll drink about 6 to 8 ounces of this every morning. The collagen inside the bone broth, in that carnivore bone broth, will coat the stomach, and nothing else I eat through the day bothers me. You know, I stick to the carnivore diet, so all I'm going to have is eggs and meat, and I have some dairy. I used to be real sensitive with dairy, but since I've been doing this, I've been able to consume dairy. I don't know if you're supposed to if you're supposed to have a lot of dairy on that diet or not, but I'm going to because I like it. So anyway, it's, you know, if you're buying this online, you look for grass-fed, grass-finished bone broth. It's going to cost you $16 for a 16-ounce container. So you're looking at $1 an ounce. So we got 32-ounce jars right there. Well, we got 8 of them, so like 256 ounces. You know, and the only cost you have in it is basically the bones. You know, you have your ingredients back here, but gosh, those will last you for a while. You know, the bones are probably, I don't know, I can't even remember what they're priced at, to be honest with you. I think those things, say if you had 6 pounds of bones, you're probably looking $20-25. So you can do it basically for 1/10 of the cost. And this here, you know, if I'm doing, even if I take one of those jars and if I did it in 8-ounce, or I could even go more than that, I'd go 10 ounces a day and get 10 ounces out of a jar. You know, that's on 8 jars, that would be 24 days. You know, and so instead of it costing me $10 a day, it's costing me $1. And I'm getting something that's very high in electrolytes, high in minerals, high collagen. It promotes longevity. It's one of the healthiest things that you can have. And with very little effort, you can do it for 1/10 the cost. And I know I said it before, but the tallow is really fantastic. And you can price the tallow out too. That stuff's not cheap either. But it's so good to cook with. You know, if you take a grass-fed steak and you want to put a sear on it in a pan, you put some of that tallow in the bottom of that cast iron pan and sear it, and that fat and that flavor from the bone broth will get on that steak. You know, people talk about butter, putting butter on a steak, how that makes it better. No, this tallow is a lot better in my opinion. Anyway, that's it. If you got any questions, let me know. Here's the recipe one more time. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, give me a like. That's all I've got for today.